Victor Davis Hanson, Hoover Institution Senior Fellow. You know, folks, I very much wanted Victor Davis Hanson here on the eve of the inauguration. I can't think of anybody more relevant, more important to help sum things up for us. Victor Davis Hanson, it's my contention that if we weren't able to elect Donald Trump president of the United States, let alone by a landslide, we wouldn't recognize this country in another 4 years. And now we have an opportunity to truly save the country and to begin to breathe life back into this republic. What say you?
I agree, Mark. You were talking about the abuse of the prosecutor's role in our society, and what was very disturbing, it was not just the federal, it was 360 degrees. You had a county prosecutor in Georgia, you had a municipal prosecutor in Manhattan, you had the state attorney general, Letitia James, and then you had the federal prosecutor. And they were coordinated. They deny it, Mark, but Fannie Willis's legal counsel was in, Nathan Wade was meeting with the White House legal counsel, and Mr. Coangelo was the number 3 person in Merrick Garland's Department of Justice, and he came out of the Letitia James prosecution and went back to help Alvin Bragg, and all of that transpired right when Jack Smith was appointed. So you get the impression it was coordinated. And then we forget that we look at the actual cases, and they did a lot of damage to Donald Trump, but there was a lot more insidious damage. They ate up 20 months of his first term under Robert Mueller, tried to destroy the actual operation of the first administration. And then with the Letitia James verdict and the E. Jean Carroll civil suit, which was funded by a big Biden donor, Reid Hoffman, they fined him $85 million and then another $370 from Letitia. They were trying to bankrupt Donald Trump, keep him off the campaign trail. And then they used all of this in other insidious ways by telling attorney generals, he's under indictment, 91 indictments, you got to get him off the state ballot. 16 attorney generals tried to take him off the state ballot. Then they conflated being charged with a felony, to being convicted, to being sentenced, and just said he's a felon. And that permeated throughout the whole political discourse. It was I've never seen anything like it. I hope it never happens again.
I think the Department of Justice under Pam Bondi is going to have a responsibility to get to the bottom of this. I don't think there's any doubt there was coordination. And in fact, they don't even have to be on the phone or visit each other for there to be coordination. All they have to do is watch what was going on, listen to what Joe Biden kept saying, and they knew what they needed to do. The Democrat judges knew what they needed to do. The Democrat prosecutors needed to know what they did. This was a complete assault on our republic. If we don't have a constitutional, legal system, we have no system. We're no different than any fascistic or other type of regime. We're a tyranny. So there's an obligation to get to the bottom of this, and the very people who were involved in it, cheering it, funding it, promoting it, telling us it's retribution, and we don't believe in retribution, or Republicans or some legal analysts, so I see or say, move on. You don't move on. This needs to be exposed. Who was involved in it needs to be exposed. It needs to be fixed. The prosecutorial system needs to be fixed. It's completely out of balance. What do you say?
Well, the proof of the pudding, Mark, is in the eating. Everybody knows if Donald Trump had have said, I'm not running for re-election, or if it had not been Donald Trump at all, they would have never tried to try him in all these different jurisdictions. And more importantly, we know that Letitia James will never go after anybody else on that real estate con. The Georgia prosecutor will never go after anybody else on a phone call. And Jack Smith will never go after another ex-president, and Alvin Bragg will never go after a non-disclosure. They were all invented crimes because they had the supposed criminal target in advance. And so that's what's really scary. They created an entire industry of trying to destroy this one person, Donald Trump, because he posed such an existential threat to this bipartisan consensus in Washington. And, you know, you saw those senators projecting, and they kept saying to Pam Bondi, are you going to go after people and then invent crimes? That was projection, because they knew that if they were Donald Trump and they had done to Donald Trump what they did, and they were now Donald Trump, in their way of thinking, they would go after themselves. And I think Donald Trump is not going to go after the individual people. He's going to go after the principle of abusing the law and let the people who did it then fall in place. But they know what they did, and that's why they're terrified, and they showed that terror when they were interrogating Pam Bondi.
As a former chief of staff to Attorney General, none of us have ever seen anything like this. This needs to be addressed. It cannot just go by and we'll move on. This was a direct assault at the center of this republic. And we cannot have prosecutors roaming the countryside who see this as precedent. We cannot have the American people believe that the justice system will ever be in the hands forevermore of abusive prosecutors who basically go after Donald Trump and may go after others. This cannot stand. The idea that you can steamroll through our legal system, through our ethics system, through our traditions, through our norms, and get away with it is simply unacceptable. There needs to be a commission that looks into this, that gets to the bottom of it, that has subpoena power, that pulls these people under penalty of perjury in front of that commission and gets to the bottom of this damn thing once and for all. That's my opinion anyway. When we come back, Victor Davis Hanson.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.